second biggest city in Ukraine. And one of the really traumatizing and disturbing aspects of that, of course, as you all know, Andrew, Kharkiv is a city that has a large population of Russian-speaking people with Russian heritage, if you like. And so it's kind of stunning to see the Russians unleash that kind of indiscriminate attack on that city. Is that what they have planned for Kiev? They certainly are making more progress, it looks like, in the south, cutting the Ukrainians off from the sea there, and that is will be a key strategic goal for the Russians. But I do think that those casualties are something that the Kremlin will not want the Russians to know about, and I think that goes to explain why we've heard in the past 24 hours that they have stopped the broadcasting of an independent radio station, stopped the broadcasting of an independent television station, even threatened Wikipedia, Russia's Russian Wikipedia, that it will get taken down.
Pierre Simmons in Moscow, thank you. And Lisa Monaco is the Deputy Attorney General who joins us now on how the administration's new task force plans to track down Russian oligarchs whose real estate holdings are so well sheltered they've been almost impossible to find. Lisa, it's very good to see you again. This is a huge task. We know we've been promised that today there would be a larger crackdown on Russian oligarchs. I know there's a new task force. But these oligarchs have spent decades making sure that their asset purchases, they're mostly real estate, but also yachts, apartments, don't put them in violations of laws here in the U.S. and in other countries. So how do your prosecutors do this when there's so many legal hoops to jump through in order to even get to these assets? They're so well sheltered.
Well, first, Andrea, thanks so much for having me. And look, what you're seeing from this task force is a commitment, and the president spoke to this last night, a commitment to go after Russian oligarchs, to go after Putin's cronies who are seeking to hide criminal proceeds in these assets, in these luxury items. And, you know, I'm really struck, Andrea, that I can't help, but I don't think anybody can help but be moved and really appalled at the images coming out of Ukraine, some of which you've just been showing. You know, people are dying. Buildings are being bombed, all because of a senseless act of unprovoked aggression by Putin and Russia. And while that's happening, you've got these oligarchs who have amassed billions in corrupt proceeds, who will seek to, if they seek to evade new sanctions, unprecedented new sanctions that we're putting together with our international allies, if they seek to do so, and we trace those monies to luxury yachts, jets, luxury apartments, that cannot stand. And that's the commitment you're seeing from this task force. So what we're doing is we're bringing together experts in money laundering, in anti-corruption, in sanctions enforcement, agents and analysts, all coming together, putting their expertise all together to trace these monies, to trace these criminal proceeds, to seize, to first freeze, based on these new sanctions that are being put in place, and then seize, using all of our authorities and all of our tools to make sure that these oligarchs, these cronies, cannot evade our sanctions and profit while people are dying in Ukraine.
Well, let me ask you this, because prosecutors are telling us that under U.S. law, you have to have an underlying crime before a judge will approve a seizure. So how do you find that underlying crime if it's so hard to find out, you know, first of all, who even owns these assets?
Well, first,
and then you have to find the crime and go to a judge. I mean, sure. Isn't this incredibly difficult? You need to change the law.
Well, look, we've got tools and authorities that we can use. First, we've got the sanctions tools that allow us to go after and freeze those assets. And then you're quite right. If we can trace those proceeds to illegal activity like money laundering, like evading sanctions, those sanctions give us a hook. They give us a tool. If you're seeking to evade sanctions, to hide those assets, we've got experts, agents, analysts, prosecutors who have a long history of being able to trace proceeds. You've seen us do it in new and cutting-edge ways. Just last week, Andrea, I announced the largest financial seizure of cryptocurrency, of Bitcoin, ever in the department's history, largest financial seizure in the department's history. So we are using new tools, new techniques, bringing our expertise to bear every day, and we're going to do it here as well.
Is Treasury going to announce any new sanctions today?
Well, I think what you've seen is the government working with our allies, our government working with our allies, a whole host, a raft of sanctions that have been unprecedented. I think you'll continue to see things moving out. I don't have anything to announce on that today, but we are working with the Treasury Department, with the Department of Homeland Security on this task force. You're going to see IRS agents, Department of Homeland Security, FBI, the Marshal Service, all pooling our efforts to run this task force, which will be run out of my office here in the Justice Department. We've got a seasoned and veteran anti-corruption prosecutor who's going to lead it. We've got also leadership and deputies coming from the national security side and the criminal side, a dozen prosecutors, all coming together to work across our government and with our international partners to use these sanctions, use our other tools to go after these corrupt proceeds and make sure that they can't benefit, again, while this unprovoked aggression is going on in Ukraine.
Do you have any agreement with the Brits? Because Boris Johnson has been under real fire from journalists and critics there in the UK, where the Russian oligarchs have been investing in wealthy properties, and the British government has profited from this, clearly. And they've had all of these people buying up London real estate.
Well, look, Andrea, what you've seen is, and this was announced over the weekend, a international task force that is coming together with our allies to coordinate on our sanctions enforcement. Just last week, I met with the Home Secretary from the UK and other allied nations from the so-called Five Eyes, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all coming together to put our resources together, to put our experts together, to say, how can we go after these proceeds? How can we isolate Russia even further? You've seen an unprecedented level of international cooperation, and that's across the State Department, across our diplomats, across our Treasury departments, and across the law enforcement agencies to isolate Russia, to isolate those elites who seek to bolster the Russian regime. And that's what you're seeing happening with this task force that the president announced last night and that we've announced today.
Lisa Monaco, the Deputy Attorney General, thank you very much. And
thanks for
so
having
let's
me.
go